All right, welcome in. Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast coming to you weekly. A lot to get to today, a lot to talk about today. Had a chance to be live on my radio show out at the Regions Tradition on Wednesday. Got a chance to catch up with multiple SEC head football coaches. I'm going to review some of that with you and some off camera, off microphone that I was able to talk about a little bit, give you a little bit of insight into Kirby Smart, Kalen DeBoer, Pete Golding, Alex Golish, give you a little bit of those conversations, what I learned having visited, talking to those coaches out at taking over college football, something we need to discuss that I want to discuss. But the question that I have not seen a lot of people talking about, is he going to be eligible? Yeah, I've heard that. Is he not going to be eligible? Okay. What's Texas Tech going to do at quarterback if he's not? So I went to the film. What else would we do? Will Hammonds seems like the guy going to take over. We'll break down the film for you, show them what they might have in store. Could they still be a playoff team without him after gathering up one of the most high-profile transfer quarterbacks this offseason? Y'all know we're brought to you by Wickles Pickles. Wickedly delicious. We snack on them. We love them. We have them in the house. They are fantastic. Go to wicklespickles.com. You can pick up any of the gear, like this hat. You can also pick up the apron, the pickleball paddles, and just have Wickles Pickles drop shipped to you right there. More information coming out from Pete Nakos at On3. Thousands of bets that this young man made on his phone. 20-some bets a day, more than that per day that he's making. Now, listen, have I dabbled in some sports gambling? Yes. Do I do it on a regular basis? No, I'm not great at it. So for me, it's not really worth my time because I know I'm going to lose in the end. So I'm not going to go out there and do it. I pay attention to lines. I pay attention to where things are, but it's just not something I frequent. And it's not as easy for me because I live in Alabama and I can't just pick up my phone and do it. But I understand how popular it is. I know where it is in today's landscape of watching sports, viewing sports, the entertainment aspect of sports. I got that. I realize it. There are a couple of things around this, though, that I think that I want to say. Number one is if that's the extent of it, it feels like it's a real problem. Now, I don't know where we are with Texas Tech trying to help, trying to protect. Feels like they're trying to do the right things. And if they are, give them credit for it. It sounds great. It looks great. But I don't know this kid's entire situation. The timing of this feels odd. The fact that there is a pending lawsuit with Cincinnati, his previous school, that now all of a sudden this has been there since, 2021? It's all coming out now. And there was a wager when he was on the Indiana football team on an Indiana game, which if that happens, going back and looking at previous cases, no one has fought this and been able to play football again or be able to play sports again in the NCAA. There's been a couple of Olympic athletes as well. Like, this is something the NCAA doesn't mess around with. This is an area that I think the NCAA can still lay down the hammer because it hasn't been challenged in court. And Thomas Marsh hasn't gone on the full offensive and been able to get years back for people under these circumstances. So I would love to know what the Texas Tech lawyers are saying right now. If they even think this is worth fighting, if they can fight this, if they want to try and challenge this. You wonder, is he entering this rehabilitation center because he desperately needs it? Probably, maybe, sounds like it, could be. Again, I don't know, so I'm not going to speak for the young man. If that's the case, I hope that's why he's there. Or are they trying to get ahead of things that maybe could come back and say, oh, look what our guy's already done. How involved is Cincinnati in this, top to bottom? I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's a lot. Like I said, the timing of it seems odd. We don't have the details. We won't know for a while. But the other part of this that I did just want to share, that maybe it's because I'm a parent, maybe it's because I have two boys. And I realize I'm going to sound soft to a lot of people when I say this. That's fine. I don't really care because I have proven on this podcast time and time again that I'm a little bit old school nature in how players are treated today and how I feel like they should be treated and some of the things that they shouldn't be granted or just get that they all do in today's college sports. I cannot fathom what this young man is dealing with right now. At 22 years old, you're being sued by your previous university. You now have potentially legal ramifications coming from when you made some of these bets, how old you were, because he was under 21 with the bets that were made when he was at Indiana. Legally, that's going to be a problem. And like we warned with Iowa State, if it legally becomes a problem, and you try to plead down on this thing and you plead guilty, there goes your eligibility because you just admitted that you did this and you're out. The NCAA is going to be done with you and they don't even have to fight it. They don't have to really, there's no burden of proof for them because they already got it thanks to the court system. So, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't know the details of how a lot of this is going to work, but I do know that, this kid, is some of this self-inflicted? 100%. Is some of it dumb and ignorant? Probably. But still a young kid, still a young man that dealt with a $5 million recruitment to go play quarterback somewhere else. and now has this on him with what's happening from the previous school, most likely not going to be able to play college football again. That money's going to go away. Supplemental draft, train for next year's draft, try to go play at a lower level for a season so they can go play like D3, NAIA, community college, whatever. I don't know if that's even in the cards. Again, a lot of this is uncharted waters with where we are with a lot of this stuff because there haven't been a ton of cases like this that have happened. I say all that to say I hope he's being surrounded by good people right now. And I don't know who he has in his life, doesn't have in his life. I don't know who he trusts in his life. I just hope that Brendan Sorsby has some people around him that want what's best for him and want to try to help him get there. That's all I'm going to say, because this is a friggin' lot that this young man mentally and emotionally is dealing with right now. And if he is on social media, I hope he's wiped it off his phone. He's not looking at it and getting away from it, because you know what that probably looks like right now. On to the next one. All right, so what if he's not the guy? We don't think he's going to be the guy. So you're looking at Will Hammond, a guy that's been there at Texas Tech for 2 years, 6'2", 210, a guy that has come in previously and done some good things. Came in against Utah last year due to injury, went 13 of 16 for 169, 2 touchdowns, ran 8 times for 61 yards. Against Arizona State, he was 22 of 37, 167, 2 touchdowns and a pick, ran 15 times for 47 yards and a touchdown. I had seen a little bit of him last year. I had not paid close attention, didn't really know what we were going to get. So I went back and I studied the film and I watched it, and I'm going to give you a little insight as to what I saw from this young man and what he's capable of doing. So let's go to the tape. All right, guys, don't forget about my friends over at Game Day Men's Health. If you're lacking energy, if you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for that free consultation. You're going to get the free PSA test, the free testosterone test, and when you do all that, you're going to be able to go in, get all your vitals. They're going to present the options that they have. Could be testosterone replacement. It could be peptides. It could be a weight loss program. You go in there right now and they're going to tell you what they can do for you to help you be a better you. And they got about 10%, 15% customer base that's actually females. So peptides or the weight loss programs, if you're a female, they can go in there and even help you at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and sign up for that free consultation. All right, first thing we're going to look at is just some mobility. You see him get to the back of his drop here and then being decisive at putting the ball down and running. So coverage, he goes right to left through his progressions, and he's got a little bit of wiggle, be able to make some guys move once he crosses the line of scrimmage. And you see decent speed to be able to run away. This is Arkansas Pine Bluff, so we're not going to go nuts about this and tell you he's the next Cam Newton, but I love the decisiveness to tuck the ball and run, not sit there and think, not try to go east and west, see a little bit of a space, get north and south and go, make a defender miss, and then finish all the way to the end zone. So a good run. A guy that shows you pretty good mobility here, being able to escape some defenders, get out of the pocket quickly and make that decision. All right, here comes a little design run. Zone read. He sees the DN play down, pulls this as the DN squeezes, but then has just enough elusiveness against Kansas to be able to get to the outside, make that defender miss. It's the right call to be able to pull that. Defender just plays a little bit deep, has good length, retracts, tries to take him down, doesn't. And again, see, turning that ball inside, not running out of bounds. We want you to protect yourself. Be careful here, but reading that defensive end the correct way and then decisively tucking that football going. And good wheels out on the perimeter. I mean, showing some pretty good speed once he gets outside. So I think Will Hammonds showing us he can be a guy that can break a defense down more than just, once in a blue moon. And his run threat, his ability on the ground is something you're going to have to pay close attention to. All right, love this one too. Design quarterback run. So you're looking at just a little quarterback counter right here, 2 pullers, and then Will Hammond knows exactly where to get this football. How about finish in the end? Love the ability to just put the shoulder down, go for the pylon, run through a defender, and be able to pick up a touchdown for your offense. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that'll get an offensive lineman excited. This kind of stuff gets the fans energized. You love seeing your quarterback fight for this in the corner of the end zone and go ahead and get points. Sees that DN play down, knows immediately get to the outside. DB comes off a block. He's going to run through him and try to pick up the touchdown. Love the toughness from the young man on this play. Also want to show you a little bit of mobility when throwing the football. Again, this is the operation of the offense here. You're going to say, oh, this is nothing. This is no big deal. Watch him get out of this play fake, know where the ball's going, quick distribution, the ball velocity right there, understanding, don't throw this really hard. Don't peg my receiver coming out in the flat here. Let's just get this ball out quickly. It's actually your tight end coming flat across the line of scrimmage, a little waggle. get it to him soft, let him catch it, try to pick up some extra yards. Doesn't, but still, it's that understanding of this is what's given to us on this play. Let's take it. Let's get a catchable ball out there quickly so the defenders near the football can't react, and see if we can go pick up some yards. Just nice execution there from Will Hammond on this play. All right, now we're going to see Will Hammond under a little bit of pressure here. You see a little play fake. Defensive end comes inside, gets a nice inside move on the left guard. That's because they slide the right side of the protection, probably why he gets in trouble. Watch him notice the pressure, begins to drift to his right just a little bit. No panic, step, and then layer the football over this defender. That's actually a great throw. Understanding that safety's coming across, knows exactly where he's got to get this football, on the move, stays accurate, delivers a nice catchable football over the defender. Just an excellent job of not just immediately beginning to sprint out, immediately trying to fire this football in as hard as you can, knowing how that ball's got to get to his receiver to be able to pick up yards, and knowing he's got pressure barreling down, he's got to get rid of this thing quickly. Excellent play right here from Will Hammond. I love seeing this poise in the pocket, especially when he has to move around in the pocket, still being able to pick up a completion down the field. All right, let's look at the arm strength now from Will Hammond here. Going all the way across his progressions, you see 1 to about 4, surveys the field. Watch him get the feet reset and then delivers a strike right over the middle of the field. Understands the coverage and that he can get that ball in quickly, squeezes it into a tight spot. But I just love the way that the feet are not pitter-patter the entire time. Early, sees, looks off the defender, gets back to that outside read. Look, 1, 2, 3, and then bam, right in there on the slant and coming across. Excellent job of understanding what that coverage is. Sees zone, know he can fire this thing in there just a little bit late, and does so with accuracy. And this is that ball velocity too that we talked about a little bit earlier. Now he knows he's got to squeeze one in. Bam. Makes it happen quickly. Just a nice job of knowing the offense, knowing the route tree, knowing the coverage, and delivering a catchable football with a little more velocity on it. Now we talk arm strength. So this is from the right hash. All right. Back shoulder all the way across the left side of the field. This is a good job reading coverage. Knows that corner's bailing. He can throw that back shoulder inside. Has enough arm strength to be able to squeeze it in. But look how long this actual throw is. Even though it's only about 15, 16 yards down the field, all the way across the field, right there to the sideline. Excellent job of knowing what that coverage is, how he's going to be able to squeeze this football in, and then be able to do it all the way across the football field. So if you're talking arm strength for Will Hammond, throws like this you're going to see, specifically on some of the intermediate stuff. I don't think he's the best deep ball thrower that we're going to talk about heading into this football season. Does leave a couple of balls short well down the field. But once again, this thing is nice to be able to put this ball all the way across the field, across the hashes like this, knowing where that coverage is and squeeze it in. Excellent job by Will Hammond here for Texas Tech. And one of the reasons I'm gaining confidence on what he might be able to be as a starter of this football team. Let's watch another one of Will Hammond under duress here. So left tackle gets beat on a spin move inside. He feels that pressure a little bit late. Now, he does drift a little bit too much at times, but this is a positive drift right here. Fading back, and able to layer this football up over one defender into the hands of his receiver, who does go make a great catch. Now, this is into traffic, and he has a habit of doing this at times when maybe he shouldn't. But watch the touch on this pass to be able to get up and over one defender to where his receiver has a chance to make a catch with the defender right there in his face, off his back foot, fading backwards. Just an excellent throw. Now, it takes some moxie to even attempt this throw. And this against Utah, backed up in his own territory. So I love the bravado. I love the guts to be able to attempt to make this throw. I love picking up a first down, one that could potentially get you in trouble at some other times. But this is a heck of a completion from this young man, knowing he's going to take contact, understanding that coverage has a chance to recover and make a play on this. But boom, floats it over one defender. Gets a little bit of help from the receiver, but gives him a catchable football to go attack and therefore pick up positive yardage. Big rep right here from Texas Tech quarterback Will Hammond. All right, so I'm going to show you back-to-back plays here in this Utah game. So essentially what we're looking at is we're going to throw the fade. This is Will Hammond. Knows he's got one-on-one on the outside. Drops this thing right there in the bucket. He gets the one-on-one. Receiver's not able to come up with it. Ball, I mean, is it a tad, like smidge, barely overthrown? I watched it from the wide copy as well. It looked like a catchable fall for the receiver, but he's not able to come up with it. All right, that's fine. So we'll come back. This is literally the very next play. One, I love the offensive coordinator being able to say, you know what, we're going to do it again. We get the same coverage. Kid, fire it up there. Let's see if we can make it happen again. What does he do on the next rep? Throws a better ball down the field over that outside shoulder towards the sideline with a little bit more air under it, with a defender in his face this time. And what do you know? We pick up that first down yardage and go into the red zone. Just pretty cool to see these plays back to back, the way that they were called, the way that they were ran, the way that they were executed. And I think shows a lot of confidence both in the play caller and the quarterback to be able to have one rep, look good, not go your way, and then come out and out execute the previous rep on the next throw. Again, confidence should be gaining for Will Hammond as the Texas Tech quarterback. Oh, I love this one from Will Hammond. Watch him kind of get out of that little play fake there. You see the shoulder fake. Oh, watch the pump, and it's that safety on the back end that he's going to be eyeballing here. Now, you got a little bit of contact at the 10, yeah, whatever. But the safety's going to stay at depth. So what does he do with that pump fake? He knows, that's cool. You're going to stay 10 yards off my receiver. Watch this back shoulder right on the goal line. Bam. Really on the 2. That's okay. Knew the cushion that he had, knew where he could deliver this football, and the play fake, that head fake is what gets it, and then knows exactly where he needs to go with the football. But once again, watch how decisive he is. There's no extra thought here. He's not back there with the pitter patter. He's not patting the football. It's bam, head fake, DB stay back, boom, throw back shoulder. So gets into that drop, 1, gets back into the back of the drop, bam, get rid of the football, release it to the outside. The receiver can make a play. You know what? We'll go out there, potentially pick up first down yardage and try 4 shots from the 2. Just another good rep. And operating the offense, knowing the route, knowing the receiver, knowing the coverage, knowing the play fake, all those things roll into this play that are mistakes that quarterbacks can make things through over time that you already feel like Will Hammond has a little bit of control and confidence in with how he's going to operate things. Just a really solid rep here showing his overall awareness of everything happening on the field. All right, so there you go. Will Hammond, Texas Tech quarterback, if Brendan Sorsby does not become eligible. Now, one part that we haven't discussed is he's coming off an ACL injury. So how healthy is he going to be when fall camp starts? I understand you can go to the 6 to 8 month timeline. That's great. That's fine. I understand that. But every individual is different. Every injury is different. They're not all exactly the same. So there's a chance he's not ready to get back going when they need him. But it's a bit of a soft takeoff for Texas Tech this upcoming season. That runway is not super daunting early in the season. They got a chance to maybe go through a couple to get him healthy, get him going, or ease him into it, in my opinion. I think if it ends up being Will Hammond and he's healthy, Texas Tech is going to be just fine. I don't know if I view them a lot differently than I would have if it's just Brendan Sorsby going in. Now, is there a little bit more of a gamer aspect to Sorsby? Is there a little bit more of the ad lib, things that he just kind of does on his own? I think he's a little bit bigger and more stout and physical in nature. But we've seen a couple of clips there from Will Hammond putting his head down, going for a touchdown, barreling for first down yardage. It's not like he lacks physicality, but you are worried about coming off of an injury, doing things like turning balls upfield and trying to run over DBs. You don't want to try to get that from you guys too much. So those things could be of concern. But my confidence has grown going back and studying this young man and seeing what he's all about. If it ends up being him, Will Hammond at quarterback for Texas Tech, I'm just fine if he's healthy for what this season may up being for the Red Raiders. All right, guys, you've heard me talking about getting back into the hobby. You know about mystery breaks. Okay, so it's easy. Go to the Fanatics Live app. Bam, right there. You're going to click that. Just go up to the top on the search, and we're going to make it real easy on you, and you're going to put mystery in that search tab, and you're going to click that. Here's what you're going to go. Shops. All right, mystery breaks right there. There it is. You're going to scroll down. What are you going to see right there? Boom. We have currently Prism Black along with Silhouette hobby boxes going. Look at the teams that we got left. We got some nice teams left here. You're going to be able to get in on the Ravens for $70. You're going to get Arizona State for $80. You got Georgia in there for $110. You got Gunnar Stockton, Nate Frazier in there. You get the Texans for $40, the Jags for $40, Michigan's $80. You got multiple Bryce Underwood autos that are coming in there. Now, it's not just me in here ripping, all right? You can go out here to Mystery Breaks, check out some of the other stuff that they got. Look, they got Insta Rips going right now with the Ripped Ripper. There that is. Bam, right there. You can go get baseball. You can go get some basketball. Listen, I got into a couple baseball breaks. Got me a little Caglione mini diamond. All right. Bowman's Best. Obviously, hit a little Yosor Gonzalez there in Bowman's Best. And then got into a little Obsidian basketball break the other day. Pulled a little nice Tyler Hero patch auto. That's actually on my eBay right now if you want to go check that one out. Listen, go to Mystery Breaks, eBay Live, Fanatics Live. Check them out. Get them on Whatnot. If you want to get into car brakes, Mystery Brakes is where you need to go. We're going to have a big announcement on some Topps Chrome football for next week, so check in over at Mystery Brakes for that. Go to mysterybrakes.com. Find them on Instagram at mystery_brakes. All right, as I told you guys earlier, I had a chance to catch up with a couple of SEC coaches out at the Regions Tradition. I want to share a couple of that with you real quick. Had a chance to catch up with Georgia head coach Kirby Smart. Asked him how he likes his team, if he can tell different things about his team. During the break before we started, we kind of talked about what this team is, where this team is. I do get that sense that I kind of have brought up a couple of times that there are some future stars on this team that are not stars just yet, and I think he knows they have that breakout potential, but I also think he likes that they're not getting too much hype right now, that these guys are not getting the out of control, unrealistic expectation discussion because of what they've already done, what they've already proven. And even some of the proven players, like a couple of guys in their secondary, are probably not getting near enough love that they need to get. I asked him about the improvement in Gunnar Stockton's game, layering the football, touch, control and velocity, quick decisions. And he said all of those things came a long way last year, and basically reiterated this kid's just the ultimate leader, the ultimate teammate. He did talk about explosive plays, though, and that he had been trying to get explosive over the last couple of years, and the majority of that comes from play action. So if that's your mindset and that's your philosophy, don't expect Georgia to just get away from being ground and pound. I think the offensive line can be a lot better. You got a young group of tight ends going to be really good. But I also think that if play action is a lot of where you're going to go to create your explosives, run game's always going to be at the forefront of what you want to do. This was where things got pretty cool, though. So Kirby tells us about Gunnar Stockton, and part of what makes him great is that he's just a football player, and he can go out and find ways to make plays, which you watch him play, you know that. It's not something that you don't see, that you don't realize. But Kirby started talking to us about when things break down, and that they have started to practice that differently, that when he ad-libs or he leaves the pocket or a play breaks down in practice, they don't want the whistle to be blown near as fast. So they essentially play through a lot of this. Now, if you haven't been in a college practice, you don't really understand how it goes sometimes. Usually somebody gets within 5 yards of a star quarterback, those whistles are blowing. Those guys are taught to stop. Don't get near them. Don't touch them, the whole deal. And obviously Kirby's not saying that they're out there taking free shots at Gunnar Stockton. But what I do think he's saying is, I think he said they accounted for more than 10, 12% of their explosive plays last year when Stockton left the pocket or when things broke down. He said, so if that's going to be the case, we have to play into those. We have to work our way into those, even more so being better at those and understanding how those are going to go so we can keep that and maybe build on those becoming explosive parts of our offense. I thought it was really cool to hear him say this. I haven't heard another coach say this. I haven't heard anybody else say that they have an extra emphasis on broken plays because of what they've proven to be, and now we're going to practice those further. So hearing Kirby Smart say that, loved hearing him talking about his football team. I actually asked him about Gabe Harris, defensive lineman, who I love. And I think that is sort of the blueprint of the foundation of this team. Is there are a lot of guys that have been there. There are a lot of guys that haven't reached their true potential yet. There are a lot of guys that aren't getting all the first round hype and buzz, but they're ready to break out. And listen, Gabe Harris is not going to be one of those guys. He is much more of a hard hat, utility, grinder type football player, but that's one of the reasons that I love him. And I think that's one of the reasons Kirby loves him. But I do think there's a foundation with players like that on this Georgia roster that he's going to utilize to hopefully build with some of the extra talent. He talked about how many young players they're going to have playing for him early, that they need them. They need to come in and provide a little bit of a spark in different places, and they're going to lean on those guys. So great conversation with Kirby. Also talked to Pete Golding, and I asked Pete Golding, listen, guys, I've tried to tell y'all that Pete is just the man. And Pete Golding, the more interviews he does, the more people he gets around that he's comfortable talking to, the more he's going to win over. We had multiple people tweeting in like, I'm a Pete Golding fan now. And it's funny because some of y'all Alabama fans who tried to get him fired multiple years in a row, and now you hear him talking, you're like, damn, that dude's pretty good. He is good. But I asked Pete about Lane basically telling us that Pete essentially became his FU coach. He could get on the headset and say, hey, man, don't go for this. Hey, man, defense needs a rest. Or why are we not recruiting more length on defense? Like, Pete could have those conversations with Lane. I think there's a very limited few people on this earth that can operate as Lane Kiffin's FU coach. He's just not going to allow it. That's okay. That's his personality, and he's done a lot of things without an FU coach, so it kind of makes sense. Pete can be that guy. Pete knows he has to have those guys too. That's why he loves the staff continuity. But he talked about coaching to win the game, and that lower levels of football taught him this, that it wasn't about getting 15 sacks in the game. It wasn't about throwing for 400 yards. It wasn't about rushing for 250. You did what you had to do to win the game. And when he said that, it made me think of John Sumrall, because I remember when John Sumrall was a head coach at Troy, and I asked him, hey, coach, like, y'all threw for like 420 last week, and you won like 28-24. You come out this week, you run for 235, and you won 10-3. And he said that exact same thing. Whatever the game calls for is what we will do to try and win it. And Pete Golding essentially saying that. Also told us that Nick Saban was very upfront with him about delegating his time. And one of the things they talked about was potentially meeting too much. And Pete said it. He goes, I think you can meet too much. I think that, and I agree with this. I think coaches can have too many walkthroughs, too many meetings. Like, there's a repetitive nature that is very helpful in college football, but there's also a very repetitive nature of things that can be negative in college football. I love the fact that Pete has awareness about this, understands this, and sees this. He had one of the coolest quotes that I've heard in a long time. He said, talking about pressure defense and turning things up on defense and how aggressive defenses are coming, and these answers that people are used to always try to find, that now it's just like, hey, we're going to go get ours. He said, listen, I tell my guys, somebody's band's going to play. At the end of this, one of these bands is going to be striking up and going. And it's either going to be the defense for getting a sack or an interception, or it's going to be the offense for getting an 80-yard touchdown. And I've kind of never heard it said that way. I thought it was pretty cool. Love the way that he did that. But just the relatability that Pete Golding brings to the table, I think people are going to love. Hard not to see him and hear him talk and think, man, this dude's going to be successful. I love what he's all about. Had a chance to catch up with Kalen DeBoer, asked him about his offense. He reiterated that the young running backs are going to help this football team. He talked about E.J. Crowell, Trayshawn Brown, said we're going to have them. We need them, and we definitely think they can help us. So hearing him say that, be open about that, something I think we've all thought, and now maybe we look at it as a little bit more of a known than maybe just a hypothesis. Also, Latsier Brooks, Ryan Coleman-Williams, both having good off seasons, good spring practices. He thinks this receiver group is one they're going to be able to lean on. And they might have to let the offensive line get going. I think once the offensive line gels, they got a chance to be better. But you're going to need better play from the running backs, which they did not get good running back play last year, regardless of people want to say just about the O-line, because it wasn't great either. And he thinks he can win with either quarterback. And, he said the difference in some of his other quarterback battles was sometimes it was 3 like last year, but this year it's just 2. And so it's kind of back and forth. But he said you take a little bit of each one, whether it was Jake Haener at Fresno State, whether it was Penix at Indiana or Washington, and you try to go find different things that worked and didn't work to build your quarterback battle here. Wouldn't put a date on it, wouldn't put a timestamp on it, but one that's probably going to go well in a fall camp, I think we know. But the confidence is there that they can win with either one. And I think Kalen DeBoer likes his team. I think he likes the demeanor, attitude of his team, the buy-in of his team. The things that he shared with us showed a lot of confidence in what he thinks this team is right now. And finally talked to Alex Golesh, who, another guy that I think more fans get to hear what he has to say. He was asked about, he hadn't had a lot of success against Alabama, and he's like, this team hadn't played Alabama. And I think even some Alabama fans were like, I like this dude. I like the way he handles things. Asked him about the Byron Brown delivery stuff. He just kind of laughed it off and was like, listen, I tried to warn Byron after being at Tennessee, you are going to deal with things that you never thought were going to be brought up and never thought were going to be discussed and never thought were going to be a deal. And they're going to be big deals. And I think this was kind of maybe good for him to see this happen early in the process of him being in the SEC, because everything he does, everything he says is going to be talked about in a different way. So they can begin to kind of adjust to that, and the expectation can be there. But one thing that he brought up also, and keep in mind, he did not play in this golf tournament. This is probably one of the top 2 or 3 golf tournaments for SEC head football coaches that they want to go to, want to be a part of, I think. Probably number 2, if I had to guess. And I don't know all of them, but I'm just thinking out loud. He didn't play in this golf tournament. And then 2, he talked about DJ Durkin and how much better he helped his football team get in the spring, specifically his offense. He said, I told DJ, you go do what you got to do. You let it rip. You go coach this defense, and whatever it takes for this defense to be great, you go do it. And so they had some hard conversations, because there were times that DJ's coaching against the offense, and he said, are we really going to go this fast? Is this really going to be our tempo? Because we're going to play 6 teams on our schedule that go about this fast or faster. And what's that going to do to us? And he said that forced me to kind of step back and say, how are we going to operate in those situations? How are we going to go into those game plans? And if we have to shift gears and do something a little bit different, where are we going to go? How are we going to do it? Talked about finding counterpunches to winning games, man. Like it's some actually Alex Mortensen, UAB's head football coach, mentioned too, is like styles of fights. You got to find a counterpunch. You can't just go in there with a giant haymaker and think you're going to win every game. Somebody's going to be able to withstand it. You better have that counterpunch. You better have a different style of fight, whether it's your grappling, whether it's your kicking, whether it's your defense, whether it's your conditioning, whatever it is, you got to find a way to win a fight. And I think that's essentially what Alex Golesh was also saying. So just some cool stuff that I wanted to share with you guys, some little notes that I kind of took away from some of these coaches, things that they gave us in those interviews. And I was able to have conversations with them out at the Regions Tradition at Greystone here in Birmingham. A really cool event every year. If you hadn't been, you should test it out. So that's it for the episode today. We'll get back into some film. There's some guys coming into SEC schools. We'll do some spring roundups. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hey, man, I ain't apologizing about the ads because we're not just trying to do this for free. Okay, we're actually trying to make something on this and get some for the work that we put in. So y'all that don't like it and complaining about it, I got nothing else for you.